Hi, and welcome back to Webination Station. This is Jason with your quick tip. Actually, today we're not going to do a quick tip. We're going to do a site review, so this is going to go a little bit longer. But I was over on Empire Avenue, and I met Rich Bradford. Not sure if you're familiar with Empire Avenue. If you are, be sure to check out Rich Bradford. And Rich and I got into a conversation that where I said, "Hey, how about if I give you a site review?" And he said, "Yeah, sure. Well, let's do it." So I followed his link over to his webpage, which is Bradford and Bradford, where we find Richard and Patricia Bradford, attorney at law out of Brandon, Florida. And Rich, I'll tell you what really impressed me about your profile is, here's this guy. And he says, Christ follower, husband, father of three. He's a family man. He's a Christian. And so, Rich, Webination Station is more than honored to be able to be invited to do your site review today. So let's get right to it. Bradford and Bradford, we're on your home page here. And one of the things that, we scroll down and we see that there's a lot of real estate taken up, and we want to think about some of the best ways that maybe we can use this real estate. Real estate in web design, what we're talking about is all of, this main space right here. And we have two real expressions. We have what's called above the fold, which is what we see right when we land here. And then we see this, what is called below the fold. And so I'm just going to start right up here. Rich, first off, I would really like to see maybe a different image here or something that tells us a little bit more about your company. I see you've got some areas of practice. Maybe if you let us know that you have estate planning, employment law, family law, maybe if there was a banner that kind of shared some of that information with us. Here in the welcome area, I would like to see this text just a little bit more spread out, and you can simply do that by just increasing your line spacing there. I'm also not particularly fond of having two navigations. You've got yourself a horizontal navigation, and then you've got a sidebar navigation over here, and it all really goes to the same place. And all you've really essentially done is you've taken up extra real estate. And what I would really like to see is this spread out a little bit more and try to get rid of these three boxes. So what are these three boxes? First of all is this navigation. I've just explained that we can get rid of that because we already have it here. If this was somehow a sub-navigation that justified being here, then I think it would be all right. But I'm a big fan of the fewer buttons to click on, the easier it is to drive traffic to the buttons that you want them to click on. Let me tell you that again. The fewer things that there are for somebody to click on, the better chance it is that they will click on the things that you want them to click on. So we're not putting on a blindfold and throwing a dart at the wall hoping to hit the mark. It's all about a sales funnel. And Rich, this is where we need to decide what is at the base of your sales funnel. What is it that you want people to do? What is your conversion metric? Is it an email sign-up sheet? Is it hire you? Is it to call you? And whatever that is, the best place to put that is right here. This is a really hot study show, and I'm not going to go into it right now, but you're just going to have to take my word for it or find some documentation to say, no, that's not the case. But we really want to add whatever our call to action is right here. I'm a big fan of an email sign-up sheet right there. Okay, so then the next thing is this button here is this is our Skype call to, and if we look down here in the corner, when I wave my mouse right here, you'll see that that's a Skype call. We could possibly put that button over here with all of our other contact information. This contact information I would like to see larger, print, so it's more easy and accessible. I would also like to see for you to ask yourself, how is it that you want people to contact you? What's your best form of communication? Do you want to wait for snail mail? Do you want people to come into your office? If you want people to come into your office, and that's why you've got your address here, then go ahead and put a Google map and embed a small Google map there. Let people easily find out where you are. Unless it's snail mail that you're wanting people to write to. I'm not a big fan of having your address there unless you're doing it for the purpose of how to find me because you do business at your location. Telephone, I think, is great. You want people to call, and I would suspect, now maybe I'm wrong, I don't know how the best call to action is for attorneys, but I would suspect that maybe a phone call is a great way. Once you get somebody on the line, then you can answer some questions, and that would be a great way. So I would make your phone number bigger. Call me, call now, something like that. Here are your emails. You've got Rich and Patricia as your email, and I'm not a big fan of including your email right in your web page because bots and scrapers, I suspect that you may, I don't know what kind of spam guard you have on your emails, but I suspect that you might be receiving a lot of spam, and you can delete that, eliminate that by simply, instead of doing an email with your name here, do contact us, click and send us to a page that would be a contact page that would have all of our information. Again, a Google Map if you want clients to come to your place of business, or maybe it's a telephone, call me, or something like that. But I would certainly get rid of your email on the front page where bots and scrapers can get it. The save page is PDF. I'm not really certain what this button is for. And when you push it, I'm not really sure what it's supposed to do. It takes a long time for this to do anything, and so I'm not a big fan of this. I would get rid of it because I don't really know what it is. Again, it's another button that's going to push. Somebody's going to push it, and it's just going to make them frustrated because it's not doing really anything. And people get frustrated, and they're out of here. Over here, we've got the share buttons, and I think share buttons are great. You have to have your share buttons. But I think a more traditional share button, people are familiar with it. You're just straight across the top, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, maybe, the Mashable style floating along the side would be better. But this gets a little confusing. The first time I saw this, I thought, oh, well, maybe he's on all of these networks. And so I went and I clicked on one of them, and I found out that no, in fact, it just takes me to where I can sign up for StumbleUpon. So really, it's not doing anything because you're not really there, and I'm not signed in. So again, you just took me away from your website to a place where I'm just confused. And so the chance of me coming back to your site, you may have lost me there. All right, now down here to Twitter. Twitter is okay. I'm not a big fan of putting Twitter on the page, but some people like it, and I think you use Twitter well. I visited your Twitter page, and you're very effective over on Twitter. And but if you are going to use Twitter, instead of putting it like this, where it's really kind of looks cluttered, and either organize it a little bit better, or one that I really like is another one of our clients, Carpathian Evangelists. They have this Twitter feed at the bottom here, which is really nice. It blinks. It shows your Twitter feed, maybe your most recent 3 or 4. It's action. It's active. So it brings your eyes down to there. Now, if your Twitter feed is one of your call to actions, then I would suggest maybe doing something like that, a ticker tape or a news that kind of blinks very gently, very subtle. Okay, and then now we're at the bottom here, and we see Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And Rich, I know that you're a social media guy. I've checked out your pages, and you're very active, and you're very good at social media. And I think that's a strength that you have, and I think that that's maybe one of the conversion metrics that you want to focus on your website. So I would bring these up more close to the top. I would maybe even get rid of these buttons, because many people know that if you just simply click Control plus, that it does the same thing, and Control minus, that it does the same thing. So I think that this is not as important of a button here. So instead, I would bring these that take me to your Facebook, your LinkedIn, and your Twitter. If that's one of the conversions that you want to have happen, I would certainly bring those up near the top where people are going to see them right off the bat, above the fold. Maybe even little tiny ones up here is also a good option. Okay. So I hope you're taking good notes. And then at the very bottom, we've got your disclaimer. And disclaimer is good. I have nothing wrong with the disclaimer, but I don't think that it needs to be so bold. It's very loud. When I come down to this section here, my eyes are drawn to the disclaimer, and in fact I lose this. And so my question to you is, which is a more significant call to action to you? Is it this big bright red box where your disclaimer, or do you want me instead to come over here to your Facebook? And I think that this would be a more or whatever you have in this area. Anyway, I would make this less visible. Maybe change the color on it and tone it down a little bit. And then I certainly would lose the Joomla extensions by SiteGround Hosting, unless for some reason you have a contract with them, or if there's if that's there for a reason, then I would certainly get rid of that, unless you have some affiliate program with them. All right, so now we come over to areas of practice, and we see that you've got 3 different areas of practice. And now, since we've gotten rid of these 3 and we've increased our real estate, now we can then open this up a little bit more. Areas of practice, we can open this up. First of all, again, these pictures here, I'm not a big fan of the stock photos. I would like to see something more personal than stock photo. Nice pictures, nice looking folks, and this is certainly lovely, but it really doesn't tell me anything. And then again, that's taking up all this above the fold real estate, and I have to come down here to kind of look at and see what's going on down here. So I would rather see I think you can bundle these three into one tab instead of needing this to be dropped down. All right, so because all you have is one or two paragraphs here, and then all of this vacant real estate. So and then employment law, and again, what would it be possible to do estate planning, across the top, and then employment law, and then lastly we have family law, and and family law is really nice. But one thing I do like is, if you're going to use stock photography, I like the smaller sized image, and I would take this image and slide it up to the top. I notice that you don't have the big banner here. And just look at that. Just imagine for a moment that these two are gone, or these three boxes are gone because we've incorporated them other places. And slide that picture of that family down here that you've chosen, and put that picture of the family right here. So now, instead of this great big banner chewing up all of your real estate, now you've just got a nice picture that is, I'm all for pictures. I think pictures are great. But why not your family? You've got a handsome family. I see you use your family over here on your page. What about going and getting a nice, use your own family as your family law? Just a thought. People like to connect to people. People don't like to connect to businesses, which brings me back to home. One thing that I forgot to mention back here on home is speaking of that, is we are Richard and Patricia Bradford attorneys. Well, show me Richard and Patricia. What do you guys look like? Who are you? Let me see your smiling faces, and I've been to some of your other social media, and I've seen some of your family photos. I mean, you guys are fun people. You're having a lot of fun. Don't be afraid to put that up there, and let us connect with a person. So there we are. Pretty much sums those up. Let's jump over to recommend us. Recommend, again, is really nothing more than another share button. Of course, we would need to fix this, but that's not so important. But what is this really trying to accomplish? Recommend us to your friends. You've got this big form, and people don't like forms. So there's other ways that we could do this, and more effectively. We can recommend you to, let us recommend you by sharing you, liking you, tweeting you, and passing Google Plus. That would be a much more effective recommend, I think, than, and we could always put in an email, a little button, email also. But I think you've taken one whole page, and it's a form. I'd be curious to know how many people have actually filled out this form with the CAPTCHA and actually have gone through this. I don't know, but I assume that you probably have Google Analytics, and you could probably go back and look at that information and find that out. Glossary. I really like your glossary because, it's, well, with the exception, again, of this, the banner. I would put maybe a smaller banner, okay? But glossary is great. I think it's really helpful. It's, there's a lot of text in here, a lot of information. But what I don't like is I would like to see you highlight our key terms, assets, attorney in fact. Put them into bold, put them, make some way where they really stand out. And one thought that I had is I like these drop downs that another friend of mine, Jan, has on her contact for inspirational speaking. She's a Christian author, and she speaks to women's groups. Well, what she's done is she's got these drop down toggles that you click it, and it kind of, these accordion style toggles. And they're pretty easy to implement, and you can just really quickly see what it is you're looking for. And I just really like the way that she's chosen to use those. And I think that you might be able to do something like that. Assets, make them bold, and then drop them down a little bit. Okay, so that is pretty much your site review here. And then, of course, we now come to your blog. And the blog, a couple things I want to say here is, I see that you've got your blog over here on Blogger or Blogspot from Google. And so here it is, Brandon, employmentlaw.blogspot.com. And you've got some really great articles here, and prolific. I mean, you write quite a bit. You've got some articles here. And so I am always a huge fan of embedding your blog into your page. Incorporate it into your page, and you could really easily do that with, say, WordPress. It would not be difficult at all. You could still maintain your static pages, but you can use your blog to increase your SEO, increase value. Google likes dynamic content. Google likes, and because you're writing these blogs, don't be afraid to let your blog drive traffic to your site. The problem here is this is in an iframe, and so it's not going to be seen by Google. Google doesn't search this, and even if Google did see this, could search this information on your site, it would be dual content. So you've got content here and you've got content there, which is a huge SEO no. Don't do it. So it wouldn't take much to migrate all of this content and merge these two together and let your blog have its own dedicated information, because you write really good blogs that I think people engage with and they like it. I mean, you've got people making comments and plus wanting and sharing this content. So I think it'd be great to merge these two items together. It's just really difficult to read a blog when it's in an iframe like this. Okay. And then I noticed you have another blog over here, and this is on a WordPress. It's WordPress.com. But again, what would it take to merge this one with this one and your blog and move them all into one? Now, maybe I'm not really sure what the motivation is for maintaining 3 different blogs or 3 different locations. You've got a website and you've got 2 blogs. Maybe because you want to be in those different communities. Unless you're on something like Multiply or Tumblr, you're not. It doesn't really do any advantage to maintaining these blogs in multiple locations. Sure, you might be generating some links, but if your page rank isn't really that much, then if you are interlinking these together somehow, I don't think that the SEO value trade-off or backlinking, if that may be potentially one of your strategies, I don't know. The trade-off isn't worth it. Bring all this stuff into one location under one roof and let all of this stuff act as one sales funnel to drive people to a great big call now button here. And I want to show you one example of that I just love. I think it's the greatest example of it. The Phoenix guy, real estate guy. Okay, here's this guy, Thompson, Jay Thompson, I think his name is. Yeah, Jay Thompson. And I found him just doing some search. And what's great is he's a real estate guy, and he tells you all the things you need to know about real estate. But notice this, he's got this blog, and this blog is just awesome. I mean, he does talk about real estate, but what else is interesting is, look, he's talking about on having a heart attack. It has nothing to do with real estate. He talks about WordPress, internet prospecting. It has nothing to do with real estate. A life-altering moment, putting things into perspective. You read this blog, and it has nothing to do with real estate. So what am I saying? He uses this blog to drive traffic to his website that has nothing to do with blog. Now, people think that, if you're using your blog, well, that's only for bloggers who are doing affiliate marketing or who are selling things, and that might not be what we're, that's not what I'm doing. I'm not a blogger. I'm a real estate guy, or in your case, I'm an attorney. Well, the thing is, let's look over here into Google, and when you type in Phoenix real estate, and I am for sure hiding all personal results. I should probably log out and everything, but it's enough to show you this. Look, here he is on page 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Position 5, page 1 for Phoenix real estate, 175 million results, and if you just kind of do even just a little bit of looking around, you'll see that the Phoenix real estate market is really a dense market. And so for this guy to be able to make front page for his website is really remarkable. How did it happen? Because his blog is a part of his website. He's using his blog traffic to drive, or he's using his blog to drive traffic back to his website. So, and then the one last thing that I did want to mention is here on your front page and on many pages, you tell us that you last updated this September 11th or September 2nd of 2011. So that I would get rid of this. I don't think we need to know when the last time you were here was. I think that it's, unless there's a reason because you wrote an article, I'm a big fan of not putting dates on my articles, unless it's something like, if you're doing a Facebook review or something like that, and so you're reviewing some market that's constantly changing, then I think it's safe and fair and polite, really, to put the date on here. But I would really get rid of this date. So, hey, Rich, I hope I wasn't too hard on you. I hope some of this was helpful. helpful. And to our other listeners at Webination Station, I hope maybe you learned a little something. And let's all just say, let's all give Rich a big thanks. Jump over to one of his social networks and, just include him, say hi to him, drop a comment, read a blog. So this is Jason with Webination Station with your quick tip / site review for the day. All right, we'll see you next time. Bye now.